Well, it's time now for a look through the day's newspapers with Deeptika Laurent. Deepti, you're taking us back to one of our top stories. Of course, today marks 30 years since the Srebrenica genocide in Bosnia.
That's right. 30 years ago, 8,000 Muslim men and adolescent boys were slaughtered by Ratko Mladic's Serbian forces in the midst of the Balkans War. The war in Gaza shows us that we've learned nothing from Srebrenica. That's what Janine De Giovanni says for the National and Emirati paper, comparing her experiences as a reporter during the Balkans War to what she calls the ethnic cleansing in Gaza. Today, in other press, you have Le Monde, the French paper, also paying tribute to the victims of Srebrenica with this front page picture here today. Between remembrance and denial, the Daily says, noting that the legacy of the genocide is still a very divisive issue in Serbia.
And you've also seen how that's playing out, that division is playing out in the press in Serbia.
Well, the French website Courrier International notes that despite a UN resolution declaring today, July 11th, to be the day of remembrance for the genocide, many Serbians continue to deny the genocidal nature of Srebrenica. And it quotes this article here as a case in point. This is from Danas, a opposition paper in Serbia, which reports on President Alexander Vucic's visit to Srebrenica in 2015. Back then, he was prime minister. And he had said at the time that genocide implied that the whole Serbian population was guilty of genocide. To that, this paper replies, well, no, that's completely untrue. The only people guilty are the radical Serb nationalists who want to shirk their responsibilities for the crimes they committed. Nonetheless, on the other side, you have this pro-government paper here, this pro-Serbian government paper. This is a front page from Thursday, where a rather cynical headline reads, Srebrenica, a, quote, permanent tool of blackmail against the Serbs.
Right, that's the Serbian press. What about papers in Bosnia?
Well, you have an interesting article here from Slobodna Bosna, which is a Sarajevo paper, that looks at how the genocide is being taught in schools. Now, in the latest generation of textbooks, the paper says the space devoted to the war has increased, but what's being said there is alarming. Students are increasingly being taught that while some captured men were shot, many died in combat. This idea of watering down what was the gravity of the slaughter, the genocide of 8,000 men and boys.
Deepti, we're going to turn to another topic now. In the U.S., Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has given some insight into what it's like for her working with the conservative supermajority on the court.
Yeah, that's right. The Washington Post reports this article here. The headline reads that she fears for U.S. democracy. These were the comments she made. Now, Ketanji Brown Jackson is the U.S.'s first black female justice, the most junior member of the Supreme Court. Now, in a live stream discussion sponsored by the Indianapolis Bar Association on Thursday, she was very frank about what it's like working in the court, saying, I quote, the state of our democracy keeps me up at night. She's really emerged as one of the court's sharpest critics. She's issued more dissents than any of the other justices this year. This, as the conservative supermajority in the Supreme Court have really greenlit a lot of Donald Trump's executive orders. As you can imagine, her comments not going down too well in the conservative press. This is from National Review, a conservative magazine, which calls her an opinion journalist and rebukes her comments, saying that the Supreme Court isn't the proper venue for Ketanji Brown Jackson's, quote, feelings, and the quotation is meant to be sarcastic.
I would say some people might say that's not her feelings.
Exactly.
That's real warning. But anyway, Deepti, we're gonna move on finally from you. Some good news for flamingos down in the state of Florida.
Yeah, around 125 American flamingos were spotted around the Everglades. It's on the front page of the Miami Herald today, which wonders if flamingos are in the pink in the Everglades. This photo released by the South Florida Water Management District shows them wading through water and flying high. Now, American flamingos are considered native to Florida, but its populations were decimated in the early 20th century due to hunting. Now, years of habitat protection and public awareness have helped the species rebound. They're among the largest of flamingo species, measuring about 5 feet tall, Alison, and for me at least, graceful as a dancer.
Yeah, I still can't get over that height. Almost as tall as us, although we're not as graceful, perhaps, as dancers.
A lot less, I think.
Deepti, thank you so much for that look through the papers. Our press reviewer, Deeptika Laurent.